The indoctrination of an unhealthy self in a dysfunctional family system. Somebody asked me to make a video about individuating away from religious structure. And this was specifically for a woman. And you could absolutely argue that it differs between men and women. But I also like to say that the process of individuation is individuation. And I understand that as a society, it is popular to look at a difference between men and women, very much likened to that of black or white thinking, because you're either a man or a woman. Biologically, yes. In the case of characteristics in terms of development, healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation, is there really that much of a difference? Both men and women can deploy healthy boundaries. Both men and women can individuate and differentiate. From what I've learned, I am not claiming fact or truth here, but when you look at Freudian psychology, that is the dynamic. Again, society likes to look at more of the black or white dynamic of referencing all of this. That is the reality of it. But let's dive back into the process of recognizing the unhealthy self that is indoctrinated, not only in a dysfunctional family system, but I will even liken a dysfunctional family system to that of seemingly a lot of religious dynamics. In an unhealthy family system, you're born into a system that usually teaches you that you owe the family system something, even when they don't allow you to understand that, no, you didn't ask to be born, so we're going to give you the healthy boundaries, the individuation, and the differentiation to develop into a healthy, conscious adult with a healthy sense of self. With that would come the healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation. I see a lot of similarities between a dysfunctional family system and what we see in a lot of dynamics of religious structure. One of the biggest things being this guilt of indebtedness to that system of which you came. Nonetheless, to recognize that in a lot of religious structure, there is, shame-based thinking, and that you owe something to that system. How is that any different from a dysfunctional family system that tends to be on the side of narcissistic dynamics, guilting you for being born? And with that, you actually owe them something. So when you boil it down, one, did you ask to be born? Not that I'm aware of. With that, do you actually owe these people anything? Also, not that I'm aware of. You can continue to play out the unhealthy dynamics all you want. It will only continue to get more and more unhealthy. That's the reality of it based on what I've learned. Developing with healthy boundaries, individuating and differentiating is also available. And this is specifically referencing becoming an individual outside of the system from which you came, which would have been available in a healthy family system, which is not available in an unhealthy, exceedingly dysfunctional family system, which, in my honest opinion, seems to be mirrored in many religious structures. It's not just the shame that you are taught of your actions that you regularly play out. It's also, which by the way, many of the shames that people are taught are fucking absurd. I'll just brief it at that. But to end off, individuating away from a religious structure that tends to consume you with guilt and shame. I mean, that's just like unfortunately inherent in its nature. Becoming an individual is really recognizing yourself as an autonomous organism separate from the system of which you came. That's what this is all about. And I understand that for many people they would see it differently between men and women in the sense of the religious structure, but simultaneously in the sense of the family system, because that's what a lot of people have learned. We've learned of the drastic difference between men and women. The biological difference is there. I understand it. The inability for a man to give birth because the biological structure is just not set up for that. It is different with women. Other than that, how different are we really? Yes, society has indoctrinated many people into believing that women should not carry out different things that only men can. Bullshit. But, again, this goes back to the same thing of what I was talking about before, individuating away from the entire system. And I hope that people that are watching this video can understand the many different elements of individuation that I am presenting here. It's not just a matter of individuating away from the shame and guilt that is introduced with an unhealthy, dysfunctional family system, also mirrored in a unhealthy, dysfunctional religious structure and dynamic, but it is also just the reality of essentially the indoctrination in and of itself. There are multiple elements within that structure of indoctrination that a lot of people tend to miss, in my honest and humbled opinion. Developing your own sense of self that is separate from the system is what is very important here. Questioning everything that you have been told to be true about yourself, about people, about the world, about culture, about society, about, I'm going to use the word homeostatic structures, because when I say homeostatic structures, what I'm referring to specifically is a family system, because many people see family systems as one fucking unit, when the healthy reality is the individuation process away from that homeostatic unit. Because if that homeostatic unit is not healthy, which it's, I mean, that's what the homeostatic dynamic is suggesting, that the unit, the system, is not healthy, which is what sucks the individual into it, and that individual develops an unhealthy sense of self. This is the process of individuating away from it. And it's very much the same to religious structures and the indoctrination that takes place for physically an individual, mentally and emotionally very much enmeshed within the system. That's what this is all about. Becoming an individual apart from the system, in thought, in emotion, in behavior, in your interests, what it is that you want, what it is that you don't want. Because I'll make it very clear before I end off this video. You can be indoctrinated to believe that you are somebody that you're not, simply because you are raised in a dynamic of survival, where your identity literally survives based around personal sacrifice of self. And it is sad, it is unfortunate, but that's the reality of survival-based dynamics and trauma.